Hello and welcome back to Space Warfare. In this series we fight against other space agencies all around Kerbin and the rest of the solar system. So let's get right to it, shall we? So let's pick up where the last episode left off, with the torpedo that was fired from the Hydrus space station heading towards the moon and in our direction. There is no way we can stop this torpedo. We don't have a chance of hitting it with our tank's torpedoes, and our armor's not going to be able to withstand the blow from the torpedo. It's missing. What? Where's it going? It's not going anywhere near the tank. It looks like it's trying to hit what's left of the fuel base. Oh my god, it is! It's aimed for the wall. They just destroyed their own base. I'm guessing that was to stop us gaining access to the fuel reserve and the intel that was on that probe core, which have both now been destroyed. Anyway, there's nothing we can do about that now. Anyway, while we were following that torpedo down, Domwin and the Aquila have actually gone right next to the Hydrus base and have discovered that whoever was flying it is well gone and has completely erased any information that was in the computer systems. But they've completely left the fuel intact, so what we're going to do is we're going to refuel the Aquila 2 and get a transport vehicle over to pick up the prisoner and man that station. So, having just skipped the launch and transfer burn, here is our transport vehicle. Now, that little module on the end is what we're going to be using to help get the tank home. Now, I've kind of neglected a way for it to land safely back on Kerbin. So the solution is to attach this module to the tank, and then once we've got it back to Kerbin using the fuel on board, the parachute should deploy and get it home safely. So here we are in orbit of the moon. Now I've actually had to change the direction that we're orbiting, because when I got here we were going in the opposite direction to the rest of our ships, which is a fair problem, so that cost us a lot of fuel. But now all we need to do is get the tank using what I hope is enough fuel to get into orbit, and then rendezvous with the tank using our transport vehicle. And then once we've attached the little module, we can then refuel it and send it back to Kerbin. We can also pick up the prisoner on the surface. So after getting Murden out of his tank and onto the back of ours, we start to take off. Now, because Kerbols do weigh quite a lot, it does cause a bit of an imbalance in our centre of mass. So that ended up making us use a fair bit more fuel than we had to, and we ended up being completely empty on fuel and in a quite inclined orbit. So that's going to make it a bit harder for us to get our transport vehicle into the similar orbit. But we do have the captured space station nearby, so we've got plenty of fuel if we need it. So after doing a few burns, we've finally managed to get our transport vehicle directly over the Prowler. So now we just need to position ourselves in such a way to get the claw to attach directly on top of the tank. Oh, and there we go. It's at quite a bad angle, but if I think if I just transfer fuel now and then readjust it off camera, because I think that might take me a while. So now with the prisoner extracted from the tank and the parachute module attached, I have sent the tank back over to Kerbin, and while that's going back to land, we have the transport vehicle, and we are now right next to the moon base again, which I'll rename at a later date when I figure out what to call it. But right now we're manning it, and we're taking the other Kerbol that we took with us, who is Froster Kerman, I think, and he is going to basically be watching out for some more high-range ships, because I don't really want anything sneaking past us again like the ships that got here did. So, with all the jobs done and some off-camera refueling of the Aquila, we have completed our transfer burn and are now on our way back to Kerbin. But before our transport vehicle arrives, we're going to have to land our tank, so let's switch to that and see how that's going on. Now, as we're just re-entering Kerbin's atmosphere, it's quite dark, but you can just about see KSC down there. We're not landing there because we're still way too high up and moving too fast. So as we switch to our landing, there we are. We're landing in the waters a bit to the west, I think, of KSC. But let's come down now, making sure we're going as slow as possible, and we landed. The little parachute module performed a lot better than I thought it would. Now, after our tank, our transport vehicle is now also landing, and once we can recover it and then take that prisoner in for interrogation. Now, I believe that other Kerbol he was with is a K-Tech engineer, so should be able to hopefully get some intel on their designs and maybe their plans. But for now, we need to get our Aquila 2 back from moon orbit and back into orbit around Kerbin. To save a bit of fuel, we are going to slow down by using Kerbin's atmosphere and aero brake. Now you can just about see the re-entry effects there, and after a few more manoeuvres we have managed to get into the same orbit as Epsilon Station. So I think if we do a bit of refueling maybe next episode, we should also be able to get some intel from our prisoner, like the location of some of their bases. But that'll be in the next episode. I'm 80,000 Army. Thanks for watching.